Welcome to SciTech Swiss, the fastest growing world-class podcast of all times. We're kicking off the new year with a sponsorship drive during the WIFE Week in Davos with an exciting ad campaign with Ringier. Karina, over to you and tell our audience how they can hitch their wagon to our star.
Become a sponsor for the next episode or we produce one for you in our professional studio. Find us on premierswissmedia.com.
There were always various types of reactions to technology. And
hi, I'm Karina Schuster, and I'm very excited to be hosting the brand new SciTech Swiss Week podcast. Listen to us and learn something new today. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm good. Well, happy Friday.
Yes, happy Friday, everyone. So first of all, thank you so much for being on our Week podcast channel. We are really glad to have you here. And, I'm pretty sure that there will be very interesting questions and very interesting answers. So thank you so much, Salama.
Thanks for having me here.
How do you see the Web3 space in Switzerland happening?
Well, look, the Web3 space in Switzerland. Switzerland has been recently voted on CoinDesk. So a pretty important news portal as the number one crypto hub in the world. And that's because Switzerland somehow they understood very early on that this is the thing to be, and they invested in figuring out the legal setup in order to enable the businesses to run. So I think in Switzerland is really right now the number one destination for Web3 businesses to set up their business. And you have all the legal framework, you have all the tax framework, and we see a lot of foundations from layer ones who are setting up here. So, for example, you have Ethereum, for example, are here, Cardano are here, etc., etc. So I think these are all very good, basics for a flourishing Web3 industry in the country.
Yeah, you're totally right. And what about financial inclusion for women? Because that's a very important topic that I'm always trying to tackle every time I get the chance to.
Well, in general, not only for women, I would say for anybody. It's until the blockchain came in that we realized suddenly, like when we started building the USPs for blockchain, for what are the use cases of blockchain, then we realized suddenly that there are like X billion people in the world who are not banked. Suddenly we started thinking about these people, in remote areas in the world, like in Africa, in South America, who would never get an account, etc., for various reasons. So Web3 in general enables all these people to be included in the economy. More specifically addressed to women. Women tend to be, although they represent 50% of the society, they tend to be the minority in the financial world for various reasons. And definitely blockchain in general and Web3 in particular, they would enable these women to have a lot of advantages suddenly. So suddenly they can have an account, they can trade, they can receive money, they can actually become wealthy. They have the possibility to invest in financial products and grow their wealth. And they also have access to opportunities. So, for example, the Web3 is a lot based on remote working. So if you need somebody to produce content or to develop or whatever, you don't need to be sitting in Switzerland. So you can be sitting anywhere in the world. And suddenly you have women with families with kids, and they can still be able to participate in this economy without having to, abide to a 8 to 5 schedule and have to commute, etc., etc. So that's where I see the power of Web3 in including women in particular in this case.
I love this answer. I totally love that. And I totally agree with that. And how are you cooperating here, especially with a lot of women around the world, spreading the message, and, what's your mission? Tell us more about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very good point, because it's not about only having an internet connection and then bam, everything is great. I mean, Web3 is still at a very early stage. Most of the user experience is pretty poor, I have to say. It's in development, and it's the interface to use Web3 is not very inclusive, not yet. So you need some part of education, increasing awareness about it, and there are a lot of organizations. I mean, the Association Women in Web3 Switzerland is just one of them. For example, we're working with other communities, let's say in less privileged locations. So one of them is in Morocco, and there is a group of women in blockchain over there that's young, very dynamic, very ambitious, young women, sometimes still students in engineering schools. Some of them, maybe they have a little bit of experience in Web2 development. And you need to do this leap from Web2 to Web3. And it's actually not so hard. I mean, they gave me examples of some developers who needed a couple of months to make the leap from Web2 to Web3, and they started working right away with multinationals and developing projects. So the way you do it is bring them the resources, bring them the knowledge, the know-how, include them in the hackathons, give them the opportunity to participate in these events. We have access to so much information and resources, for example, in Switzerland, but in Western countries in general, and we find it kind of normal, but it's not. Like, these people, they don't have the networks, they are not part of this network, and what we're doing is we are including them in our network, and we work on understanding their pain points, we work on understanding what is holding them back from reaching whatever goal they want, and then we provide them with these resources. Concretely, for instance, this Moroccan team of women developers, they would love to attend a hackathon at the Eat Global in Istanbul. We're talking about a $1,000 ticket to fly them in, and so to pay the hotel. And it's a way for them to go out and to network and to have this real experience, to be completely immersed in this community and to grow their network. So it's all about network and community.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I think that's, what you guys are doing is absolutely amazing. And how do you see the future of Web3, of the Web3 space in Switzerland?
The way the whole thing started, it's developers, right? So it's like tech, it's developers, and in this world it is male dominated. Now, I don't want to go down why tech is male dominated. This is another type of discussion. It's a fact, and now we are coming into a stage where we need to take Web3 mainstream, and for that you need to have a UX that is attractive to everybody. So actually all genders included. So you cannot make an UX built by, in a masculine mind and expect that, a grandma or a Z Gen woman is going to use it, right? You need to include, the female perspective in order to invite more people to make these platforms more intuitive, so that people feel, oh, okay, so this is something that I can use, and not just some gig for, developers having fun, something looking like a Unix platform, right? And not only specifically on Switzerland, I think Switzerland, the main plus or USP is really the regulatory framework. I mean, they did an amazing job to put the basis for this whole industry to flourish. And I feel like the work is still ongoing. There is a lot still to do, and this is only gonna make Switzerland even a more attractive place to come. Other regions, of course, are catching up. I still have the feeling that we are still number one preference for all the businesses worldwide. Then you also have this thematic about energy efficiency. I mean, there are a lot of blockchain networks who are working on making their platforms more energy efficient by using proof of stakes, for example. And Switzerland is has this beautiful reputation of working with clean energy and renewable energy. So I guess it goes in the flow, right? It's kind of normal that okay, so in this process, the efforts are going to be deployed to make this whole industry more energy efficient. Yeah. Also, I mean, it's also all the collaboration and with other ecosystems around the world, opening up to the rest of the world, and kind of like showing the model of Switzerland, like the miracle of the Swiss crypto valley. I mean, we get approached by other governments, by other organizations to understand this miracle and to replicate it. For instance, we recently were approached by a lawyer from Dubai, and she got, she actually got the, not the order, but yeah, I mean, she was recruited to develop a chapter which would be similar to Women in Web3 Switzerland, to have exactly the same thing in Dubai. We get approached by the officials from the Ministry of Economy and Industry of Japan. They would like to replicate something similar to what we have in Switzerland there. So yeah, I mean, Switzerland is really in the focus of most of the organizations, most of the governments, and they would like to reach what we've got here. Then you have, of course, like social impact projects. You have a lot of DeFi or layer 1 projects which are, focused on that, like Cardano, for instance. They do a lot in that sector, and that's again kind of natural in Switzerland. So Switzerland has been always at the forefront of these kind of initiatives. And also education and talent development. You have a lot of lobbies who are pushing for blockchains. For example, the House of Blockchain, they do a lot on the education side. You have CVVC/CV Labs. They do a lot of events for education. They have reports. And these reports are very important. I mean, they are being read everywhere, and also finally the ethical considerations, right? And that the technology needs to remain ethical and to be inclusive. I mean, this discussion we see more on the AI side, because on the AI side it's somehow going much faster, and we see maybe much clearer the effect of AI. But on the Web3 maybe a little bit less. And this is also why it's important to have a much bigger representation of women, to make sure that these ethical considerations are taken into account.
I love the answer, and I absolutely agree with that. And because you actually approach the word technology, and that's also what we are trying to do. We are trying to show people that technology is actually not scary, not in all cases, especially when it comes to AI and deepfake and all these use cases. The question that I'm actually asking everyone is, do you think that technology should be perceived as our friend or our enemy?
Well, I mean, if I perceived technology as our enemy, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. I mean, over the years, technology has always been scary for some. Of course, like there is all this discussion about AI. Are we gonna all lose our jobs? And it kind of reminds me the discussions around when the computers came in, right? Like it was very similar. Like, oh, we're all gonna lose our jobs, etc., etc. So.
Really? Was it like that, like in the past, like probably, I don't know, in the 80s or in the 70s, I mean, in the 80s?
I mean, I'm not that old, but if you read, like articles from that time, you can see similarities. Like you take an article about AI, like how AI is gonna, like throw so many people on the street, and you take an article from maybe the 60s, 70s when the first computers appeared, and it's going to be exactly similar. So I'm someone who believes that technology, I mean, if the technology is used in a proper way, should actually liberate the human beings and enable us to find other freedoms and unite people. I mean, for good, of course, but it's like anything. It depends what you're doing with with technology. But I prefer to hope for the best and see the good in the things. Let's say it this way.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Absolutely, especially in the Web3 space, and not only. What about the regulatory side? What do you think that there are some improvements that could be made? Maybe some clarity when it comes to, or maybe are there any use cases that you can share?
When you say regulatory, you mean only in Switzerland or in general everywhere?
Well, that's a good question actually for me. I think that we should probably focus in Switzerland first and maybe see around the world if there are any other, important use cases in the Web3 space.
Yeah, I mean, in Switzerland, I think it's pretty clear. The officials are doing a great job. I mean, FINMA is collaborating extremely well with the industry. I mean, this is a little bit the soul and the breadth of Switzerland. Switzerland has been extremely smart over the years in adapting, in seeing the opportunity, and like working on the regulation and working on the legal framework to make business possible. And this is exactly what they are doing now within Web3. I think, and I feel also like there is no over-regulation, if you see what I mean. Like the regulation is made in order, of course, to protect the consumers, but there is no, let's say, over-regulation so that the businesses cannot run anymore. There where it's an extreme case and where everybody is kind of holding their breaths right now is in the US. The SEC has not really shown so far any let's say willingness to let the crypto world, the crypto industry flourish. But even then, in the latest interviews that I've seen, for example, with Cathy Wood from ARK Investment, and with like BlackRock, I feel like even the SEC is kind of flinching right now. So there is not this like no, there is more collaboration. Things seem to be going forward, and like the number one headline right now, except from FTX saga, is so are we gonna see a Bitcoin ETF, yes or no? And I feel like we're getting there now that BlackRock is also involved. I feel like there is no way back, and it's going to be very difficult for the SEC to keep on saying no. So we might see things actually evolving in a much more positive way than we would have thought a couple of months ago.
Yeah, you're totally right. 1 second. And last question that I actually might have, it actually involves AI, because you mentioned AI before. How can we actually leverage the use of AI, especially when it comes to women in business? That's a great topic for me. What are your thoughts on AI, and especially on, because everyone has like mixed opinions about the use of AI.
I mean, I'm very positive on AI in general. Of course, it's something which is kind of like just starting. We need to test a lot of things. We need to see, people are doing their jobs. The people on the legal side and compliance side, they're also doing their jobs, etc. Data privacy, etc. So that's all work in progress. But in general, I'm very positive about AI, about what it could bring to everyone. I'm using a lot ChatGPT. I love it.
Oh, that's one of the questions actually that I never really thought of, asking, if everyone is using ChatGPT. And I think I might probably have had only, one interview where I just, we were talking about ChatGPT and its use and how efficient is that, because a lot of people, some of them might admit that, some of them might not admit that, but when it comes to their businesses, running their businesses or in marketing or whatever, even in journalists, you might see a lot of articles or a lot of people using ChatGPT, and it can facilitate your work, even in other areas, even when it comes to coding or whatever. But how accurate is that? Like, how are you personally using that? Are you maybe, can we train it, or how is your experience with that?
Yeah, I mean, I cannot say like I'm a professional user of ChatGPT. I'm definitely using the version 4. I'm experimenting a lot with it. I can really say that it makes the work much faster. I mean, I'm losing. There were like some tasks where I would spend 1 or 2 hours before. Now it takes me like 5 minutes, and it's repetitive tasks anyway. So why should I spend 1 or 2 hours instead? So I mean, it's adapting very quickly. For instance, I have some business ideas, and in a discussion with an IT specialist. Like just an idea also for the association Women in Web3 Switzerland. So the idea was kind of like, is it possible to create an app where you can combine all of these women in? And I was having this discussion with this IT specialist, and I was like, so how much do you think would cost to build this app? Like, how long would that be? It's like, now with AI, this is much shorter. So you can basically kind of like take some prototypes where you think, okay, so this is the type of app that I would like to build. This is what I like. These are the features I would like to have. And you kind of like enter this information in ChatGPT, and then it just throws you the code so that it replicates exactly what you want. And this is saving you so much money, so much time. I mean, imagine, so creating apps is becoming so easy out like now suddenly. And so it's just one example, making the lives of people much easier, and going a little bit, maybe things are going a little bit too fast at some point. I don't know, but let's see, time will tell, but I'm personally very positive. It's making my life much easier, definitely.
I would personally want to ask ChatGPT, if they can make me a financial plan or just a business plan or a business model. That would be very interesting for me to see, like I'll probably, for the next podcast episodes, probably we should do the following. We should do a financial plan just made by ChatGPT and discuss that, and just play around a little bit. That will be a great podcast episode that I'm, looking forward to.
I think ChatGPT right now, it's a good start. Like it gives you a basis where you can start. This said, it's not like you can use whatever it spits out like 100%. You need to question it, and you see examples for like there was one going around on LinkedIn about how ChatGPT sees how AI sees the typical successful marketing or advertisement guru, and it sends the picture of a white old male, whereas 65% of people, like professionals in let's say marketing slash advertisements, are women. So it's very biased. ChatGPT is very biased. So if you ask it to send you a financial plan, then it's probably for a male. It's not necessarily adapted to a woman. And I think that's where we were talking about it before we started this. Patricia Leary is doing a very good job, for example, in Switzerland with her company.
Patricia.
Yeah, she's doing a very good job because she's raising awareness about the difference of the financial planning for a woman compared to a man, right? So anyway, yeah, that's a little details that you need to take into account.
There's always room for improvement. So I feel like, we have a lot of work to do and a lot of, things to learn still, but I also want to remain positive that we are on the good path. And, there are many use cases already and, being discussed. So, and, actually as a journalist, I always like to question things, whenever it's something positive or negative and the impact and, to see the testing process. And yeah, it was a pleasure having you here. And I'm really looking forward to the next podcast episode because I have so many ideas already that you have given me.
Thank you so much, Karina, for having me. It was a pleasure.
It was my pleasure. See you next time.